The 7 steps to actually build and create wealth. This seems confusing and for a lot of people so out of reach, especially in today's age. I don't care if you have a good job and you're wanting to invest, or you don't and you're trying to set yourself on the right path, or maybe you even have a lot of money. At the end of the day, you're just at one of the steps. And for everyone, the next steps seem unknown, no matter where you're at. So we're gonna break this down to help you understand in 7 steps the things that are needed to put you in the right path and actually create wealth. This is not a get-rich-quick 7-step thing. No, this is an actual process that can take time, and that's okay. Now, the 7 steps, we start off simple and then it can get more complicated. But 2, you don't actually need to complete the 7 steps. Lots of people don't want to continue and make major wealth or build businesses, different things like that. They want to be somewhere on the chart. They want to be going in the right direction. So we're going to start simple and then show how that builds upon itself. And so starting out, step 1, we're talking 0 to 90 days. This is really all about getting some kind of buffer. We're talking foundational stuff. This is the stabilizing phase for the foundation. We're talking about getting rid of bad debt. Automate savings and investing. A lot of times when you're looking at this, it may seem simple, but hard to do in practice. That's why I suggest automating a lot of these things. Stop looking at your end result paycheck as what you have to spend. Start going back further. Do you have an HSA? Do you have different savings accounts? What is the business giving in a 401k or not? If you don't have anything like that, then how much at the end of the month do you have? How much credit card debt do you have? Now, that can already seem like a lot to a lot of people because they don't have much. And that brings us to our next steps. Step 2 is raising your income and stacking skills. These 2 things go hand in hand. Some people, especially people that are young, this can be a lot easier, and you have a big advantage when you're young. Why? You may not have the responsibilities as people do later in life, like children. So the most important thing when you're young is to stack skills. Work for skills. Don't go for the short-term higher paycheck. Go for the place where you can learn, have experiences, and gain skills that are needed. Focus on adding one skill set at a time. Sales, AI, operations, pricing, financials. Start asking questions. Start learning about the business that you actually work for and gain skills within that business by doing more and taking on more. Remember, income follows skills. You adapt skills, then the income comes. Most people never put themselves in a position, though, where they're willing to do more unless they're directly paid for it, but they don't have the skills to get paid for it. All right, this leads us to step 3. So we have the foundation. Don't add on more bad debt. From there, you want to raise your skills and your income as you go. It's important, though, for step 3 to automate investing in public markets and try to avoid lifestyle creep. Now, at the end of the day, when you have kids, when you have things like that, lifestyle creep comes in. But you want to minimize that and do it through automation. If your employer has a match on a 401k, you should absolutely do that. That's 100% return. So out of the gate, your 401k is already getting 100% return. That's a no-brainer, and that's a great way to automate things. The next step is low-cost index funds. Now, there's lots of index funds out there, but some charge a lot more than others. And that charge, now it may look a little at first, maybe 3% versus 1% or under. But in the long run, that 2% of those funds stack up big, and you're getting the same thing at the end of the day. So make sure you are using low-cost index funds. And as you go, you need to rebalance with your income and your tax bracket as you continue. All right, from here, we reach a major point. These first 3 steps can take a long time, and it's important to know that The longest part of creating wealth is actually the skills. You have to learn it, and our school system does not teach you the skills that you need in society today to be successful. But by doing those three things, you set yourself up nicely. And that leads us to where real wealth can start to be created. The first thing that you need to realize is there's two different markets. There's public and private markets. Now, the wealthy that own the public markets, the vast majority did it through stock options, starting their own companies, taking them public. So although they're in the public markets, they were mostly secured through private means. As in, they didn't just buy the stock. That's not how they got wealthy. And that's not how you will either. The private markets is where wealth is made, even if it's converted to public markets. It's the private transactions and deals that are done. Warren Buffett doesn't just buy stocks, he owns the companies. Now, these steps, you may start to think that sounds like a lot of money, but I made a whole YouTube on how as little as $100 you can be investing in private markets. So you can go check out that one to get in depth. That's not the point of this video. But I'm talking about private debt, real assets like real estate, and small businesses. You want to start small, gain reps, which helps you build skills, and create a plan to continue. This isn't something you want to go all in at once when you don't have any skills. You want to build up as you go. Now, this is the traditional means to invest and build wealth. This is the long way to do it. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. The private markets is the big separator from people, as opposed to just having a good paying job and getting a 401k and investing your money in the stock market. The private markets separates the individuals in that class, and it does in a really, really big way. The next steps and moving on from here is a totally different category. To step 5, we're talking about people that really want to build wealth that is differentiated. I'm talking about true equity and value. This is a lot more hands-on, and this may not be right for everybody, but it is the major separator. It is also not a shortcut, but a time condenser. And that is number 5, that not just investing in the private markets, but you actually own and participate, like starting or buying a small business. Now, the most successful way to do this is you've already done the first steps. You've stacked skills that you need, you have connections, understanding, and a good foundation that allows you to exploit different holes that businesses may have, or things that customers want or they're not getting. You can actually see the problems, which every market, every industry, and every organization has. This allows you to build or buy a business that you can utilize those skills that you have learned to then monetize that, not in the form of just a salary, but an actual business. We don't do business by just starting or buying a company and hope that it's successful. The foundation puts you in a spot where you have an advantage. These things can be learned outside as well, hence the reason of this YouTube channel. From 5, we move to the acceleration phase. Now, the second half of 5, you take that free cash flow and you buy actual assets. That is moving business risk into secured wealth. And number 6, we are going to accelerate this. You verticalize and systemize. Number 6 is about taking that business that you started or bought, and when I say business, it may be an investing thesis in which you're investing yours and other people's money. It changes when, instead of just paying for an investment, you are actively engaged in it. That is a business. What this means is your business has lots of components that you may outsource or that is needed but you don't do. What you do is you internalize these things to grow that business. This allows you to everything from sell those services or simply not have those expenses and turn them into profit centers, but also consuming parts of the outside that gives you an edge, like data, and that helps you build things like moats. Now, while you're doing this, you are changing the business from something that is reactionary that you do to an actual machine. This is done through processes and systems. You move from the entrepreneur that does and makes it happen to the entrepreneur that creates the machine. Systematizing the workflow as well as the outcome. This allows you to scale. It allows you to do more things without losing the outcome that you originally had. You want to make SOPs for everything. The key here is documentation. From the time you're small and maybe you don't even know if the business will be successful, you want to document. And then you take all that knowledge and you look at it and say, how do we systematize this and how do we create processes for it? And this leads us to number 7. As your business is growing, you're growing both in cash flow and equity. You can utilize this business and leverage it to not only enter into more hard assets, separate businesses, but build out an ecosystem. You want to hold cash for opportunities when markets get out of whack and position yourself so your business can make those acquisitions. Acquisitions that can grow the business. This will ensure the business's not only growth, but also solidify it and make it safe. But also, you're moving cash into assets, large ones, that preserve it. This final step is allocation. When you're at this point, your business is now automated and running. You become an allocator of capital for both internal and external. And the skills that you have learned, as well as the connections and resources that you have earned from building or buying that business, you can now use to maximize and speed up the process. You have access to hire as well as pay skilled people that have knowledge and skills that you don't have to and you don't need to. This is where the growth turn really changes. Once again, it's not for everybody. A lot of people don't want to do that. And that's the thing about these 7 steps. At the end of the day, you can create wealth even if you stop at step 3. But you have to also realize that these are very much long-term plans, and there's nothing wrong with that. Going to 4, that creates a different kind of freedom and a different kind of opportunity. You own real assets, and those assets act as a backstop against your income, providing you the opportunity to maybe go get another job, or if you get laid off, you're okay for a while. It also provides you with things like wealth or equity, everything that you can borrow against or use free cash flow, while also giving you the experience so as you keep investing, you get better and better at it. This is real tangible wealth that you own and provides you benefits, not just in security and freedom, but also in the form of tax benefits and more. 5 and on, that is the accelerator all the way through. This is where you're diving deep and you're going to build real wealth. And 2, you want to do it in a lot shorter time. And let's just be honest. If you get to 4, 5, or 6 over time, you're gonna do great. And if you get to 7, you're in a very exclusive club. Now, of course, some people skip the first steps and go straight to number 5, but most people don't. Maybe they even can't. Lots of people don't even know what to do or what path to go on. That's why we start out with the 2 most important things: stabilize and stack skills and income. From there, you're on a path that gives you options and opportunities. Let me know what step you guys are on in the comments, or what you would like to know more about. Like, which one of these steps do you want us to dive into deeper? Make sure you're subscribed to see the information about how you can grow your personal wealth and create financial freedom.